Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Koltiska. I am dance faculty at Sheridan Community College, and the dance department's home is at the YO Theater. And although we can't be there right now with all of our students, I wanted to share with you a little ballet 101, if you will, an introduction to ballet for anyone who has ever been interested in giving it a try. We do a series of 3 videos. This first one is going to be an explanation of just how to stand properly in ballet, so talking about rotation, where that rotation comes from and what muscles you need to be engaging. I'll also do some ballet terminology, so basic terms that we'll be using at ballet bar, so plie, tendu, dégagé, things like that. All you will need is enough space just to move your arms and legs a little bit, and either a chair or a countertop to hold on to, so nothing fancy, nothing crazy. And I would suggest wearing socks so that you can feel like you can move your feet along the floor. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about rotation. So anybody who's ever taken class from me before knows that I can talk about rotation for days on end. I'll try not to do that right now, but rotation really is something that's fundamental and you must work on every single class in order to be standing correctly in ballet. The best visual I like to use for rotation is if my arm was actually my leg. The rotation does not come from the ankle or the knee. It actually comes from the hip joint. So we have very little to no rotation in the ankle and knee. I mean, there's maybe 5%, but we never want to torque the knee or ankle joint. So that rotation is going to come all the way from the hip socket. So how we'll start is actually bringing those feet all the way together in what we call 6 positions, so toes together, heels together. And you want to start by lifting the kneecaps up, not locking them back, but you want to feel a lift up. So quads are engaged, and then you're going to lift the lower abdominal muscles, so think pelvic floor. We're lifting up, not sucking in. And then from here, you're going to rock your weight back into your heels and just let those toes open. Wherever they naturally land is your natural rotation. And this is where I'd like you to work for the purpose of these next 3 videos with me. This is just going to be a safe place for your bones to be. One thing you never want to do in ballet is actually try to accentuate your rotation by rotating those heels further forward. This is not a safe space to be for the knees or ankles. So whenever we get started, if you're more comfortable just to come to that 6th position and do this every single time is a good reminder as to where your legs need to be, it's a great thing to do. I highly suggest it. Next, from here, you want to make sure that your toes are actually spread out nice and wide on the floor. You want to feel like that big toe and pinky toe are reaching nice and wide. I love the idea of lifting that inner arch, the front of that little of the foot, having a nice lift up the front of the leg. Now, if you are holding on to something, go ahead and grab your chair or your countertop right now. You're going to take a bend of the knee, so your plie to bend. I want you to take a look down. Your knees need to be tracking over the 2nd toe. So we want to make sure they're not rocking forward or they're not rocking too far back. So we're going to take a look and make sure that those knees are directly over that 2nd toe. And what I like to do when I'm introducing rotation is to tell people to stay in that plie. Take both hands. You're going to grab the belly of your hamstring, so the biggest part of the back of your leg. And as you start to straighten the legs, you're going to pull that hamstring forward, straighten those legs, and you're going to squeeze, 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 and try to hold that rotation that's hopefully coming from the hip. You want to have a nice flat inner thigh here. If these were my sits bones, my ischial tuberosities, we're actually pulling those sits bones together in a V shape. So pulling those sits bones together and feeling that inward spiral from the hip joint. You should have a nice flat thigh right here. We do have to engage the glutes to hold that, but we don't need to be squeezing so tight that we can't move at all. So sits bones pulling together, we squeeze the glutes just enough to help hold that rotation. We're going to lift up from the inner arch all the way up the front of the leg. I like to call it zipping up the leg. We're going to pull up the lower abdominal muscles. As we hold all of that, you're going to take your hands to your rib cage, and you almost want to have a corset type feel of the rib cage. Almost that we're weaving those ribs together to really feel a nice, strong center here. From there, we want to keep that lift and press the shoulders away from the ears so we really grow nice and long in the neck and chest area. So this alone should feel quite challenging to hold this in the legs. Now, another big part of ballet is where your weight is. Your weight is not rocked back onto those heels. You want to have the weight forward on the balls of the feet, makes it even more challenging to hold. My dance teacher, Miss Sandy, when I was a little girl, she used to tell us she should be able to slide a piece of paper underneath those heels at all times. So having that nice, strong lift. This is rotation. So this is a never-ending sort of evolving thing that you're never not going to think about in a ballet class. This is something I work on hard every single time I take a ballet class. It's not one of those things where you learn it, you know it, and you never have to think of it again. Unfortunately, we always have to work on it. So the next thing I want to introduce is let's do 3 or 4 basic ballet terms that we'll move on to in my next video. First one is going to be plie. So we just did that when we were trying to find our rotation. Plie means to bend. So we're going to bend those knees. This is called a demi-plie, half plie. So the idea that we're taking our pelvis and going straight down and straight up. Nothing's happening when we're tipping that tailbone back. It's straight down and straight up. Demi-plie, half plie. So go ahead and give that a try, holding onto your chair or your countertop. Other hand can come to your hip. We're going to find that lift, feel your rotation, lifting the abs. We soften the knees, directing them over the second toe. Take a moment. If you have a mirror, maybe glance in your mirror, see if you're aligned. Shoulders, ears, waist, hips, knees. Tailbone is directly underneath of you. And then to rise, we press into the floor and rotate those legs even more every time you straighten. Demi-plie. Grand plie, which we probably won't do, but just so you know, grand plie is a full plie. First, you show demi-plie. The heels come off the floor only when they absolutely have to. As we come back up, we show demi-plie again and push the floor away to rise. Plie. The next position that we have is going to be a tendu. Tendu means to stretch or to point. So a broken down tendu would be ball of the foot, toes. There's no weight on that foot ever. Ball of the foot, and then those inner thighs squeeze together to pull that leg back to first position. So one more time, ball and toes. Ball and squeeze those inner thighs. Tendu, of course, is done in every position, front, side, and back. Next term I want to throw at you today is called dégagé. Dégagé means to disengage. Dégagé is a tendu that's 45 degrees off the floor. So in slow motion, we'd show that ball of the foot, stretch or reach, then it's slightly off the floor. Then we show tendu, ball of the foot, inner thighs squeeze. So a little bit faster, dégagé, disengage, disengage, disengage. And again, dégagé is done in every position, front, side, back. And before we conclude this little video for today, I want to go over feet positions as well as arm positions. So we started by standing in sixth position, feet all the way together. So sixth position is used a lot in the beginning of class. We'll do a little warm up with our feet in sixth position. It's also used in character dance a lot as well. So sixth position, we'll rock our weight back to our heels just for the purpose of finding our own natural rotation. First position. Every time we shift to another position, we're going to tendu to get there. So to second position, you're going to tendu the outside leg and slowly lower that heel. Your weight now is in between both legs. Second position. Depending on the type of ballet that you're studying, be it Vaganova, be it Russian, Shiketi, your distance of your second position may vary depending on your teacher. For me, I always suggest a little bit wider than a foot's distance apart. So we don't want to go super wide that we actually can't hold our balance. But we don't want to go so narrow either that we don't have a nice full plie. Third position is not used often after you get a little bit more advanced. However, I am now kind of coming back to third position the older I get because it's, I don't know, it just feels easier and gentler on my hips. So third position, you're going to tendu that foot and you're going to close that heel to the inside of that front foot, so the inner arch. Third position. So again, you want to make sure that those legs are lifted. We're not locking the kneecaps back, but we're lifting them up, and we're finding big toe and pinky toe on the floor. Little to no weight on those heels. Sits bones pulling together. This should feel a bit of a challenge just to stand here. Fourth position, we're going to tendu that front foot out in front of us, and we're going to lower that heel down. So since this is Ballet 101, if you will, or a beginning ballet class, I'm going to suggest that your fourth position is heel in line with heel, and again about a foot's distance between your feet. Your weight is not shifted back or forward. Your pelvis is directly in between those 2 feet. So fourth position is a very challenging posture, probably one of the hardest in my opinion. At Ballet Bar, when we're doing pliés, grand pliés, all of that stuff. So in fourth position, something to always look out for is when you're doing that demi, make sure that that back knee isn't falling forward. Super big danger zone for your knee, but also a really common mistake. So you want to make sure that those hips are nice and square forward. Pinky toe on the floor of that back foot should help that knee not falling forward. Again, pelvis right in between both feet. We wrap and rotate the legs as we straighten. Fifth position, tendu that front foot. It's heel to big toe. So again, this is just a harder variation of that third position. Again, it's a little bit more challenging than, say, that third position, but a great position to work towards. We will do fifth position when we go into those pliés in my next video. So from that heel to toe position, big thing that happens is a lax in that front knee. So we want to make sure that we're really, really rotating and zipping those legs up as much as you can, continuing to lift those abdominal muscles as well. Fifth position. So to come back to first, we'll tendu and close in first. Just a little introduction to arms. Port de bras. Port de bras means carriage of the arms. So preparatory position, or en bas. Arms come up, fingertips in front of belly button. This is first position. This is third position. I'm sorry, this is second position. En bas, first position, second position, third position, fourth position, and fifth position. Arms open. We'll come back to second position just for a moment. So in second position, we want to make sure that those arms aren't in line with the shoulders, and they're certainly not any higher. They're slightly sloped down. We want to feel like we're pushing the space away in order to grow long through the neck and chest. I was always told if a raindrop were to fall from my ear, it would roll down my arm and off that middle finger. So the idea that we have a little slope of the arms falling down towards the floor. Next thing I want you to take a peek at is making sure those elbows aren't relaxed down. We actually want to engage the triceps when we're using our port de bras, so we're lifting those elbows up without lifting the shoulders. Again, we're pressing down. Our lats, our wings are pulling down and together, so my back is really engaged and really held strongly just to hold those arms in second position. And go ahead and release those arms down. So quick overview, rotation comes from the hip. You want to rotate inner thighs forward, feeling that beautiful spiral of the leg, your sits bones pulling together in a V shape, lifting the pelvic floor and the lower abdominal muscles, rib cage pulls together, neck nice and long and soft. First position with the feet, first position with the arms. We tendu to second position. We find third position with the feet, not the arms. Tendu and third. Fourth position, tendu, drop the heel. Fifth position, tendu, heel to toe. We'll come back to first position. We have demi-plie, half plie, and lengthen. We have tendu to point or to stretch. Reach and close. Reach and close. And last one, dégagé, disengage from the floor. And out, and out, and out. Release, and just for fun, find that first position one last time. We'll press all the way up to an élevé, lifting those heels off the floor. We feel the spiral of those legs. Bring those arms to en bas. Feel the lower abdominal muscles lifting. Nice, soft neck. Bring those hands to first position. Arms open. We lift. We lower, and we finish. Thank you guys so much. I'll do another video if you're interested in doing pliés, tendus, dégagés, and maybe rond de jambe. We'll just start building little building steps, building blocks as we go. Thank you so much. Take care.